Ladies and gentlemen, the new season is upon us, and while it may be a bright and shiny new season, nothing could be further from the truth surrounding the weather. It'll absolutely be full wets starting tonight's race, but nonetheless, welcome to Sao Paulo, Brazil, for the season opener of Midwest F1 Season 8. And tonight, the Division 2 grid will look to take on the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, a 4.3-kilometer anti-clockwise circuit that consists of 15 corners, 10 of which to the left, 5 to the right. The combination of the two DRS zones and tricky corners will make this one of the most exciting races on tap this season, and definitely be looking for loads of action tonight, as well as the wet weather conditions the drivers will face at the start. So, the formation lap, albeit starting at about 2 minutes earlier than it should be. Usually you want to give 2 minutes, but it looks like the formation lap will be starting here in about 20 seconds. This will be, I'm predicting it now, one of the more chaotic starts you will see in the Midwest F1 League. Division 2, first time on no assists, no traction control, no ABS, and it's taking place in the full wets. It's raining cats and dogs, raining buckets, insert metaphor here. It's an absolutely wet and heavy one here in Brazil as the formation lap getting underway. And if you didn't know already, Midwest F1 sponsored by Raise Energy Sim Racer Coin and Epos Audio, all of which you can find links to in the description. Note to the editor, which isn't me. As you can tell, full wets on display. However, the weather forecast predicts it like this. We're going to start on the full wets. About midway through, it will transition towards the end of the race. It should become dry. How far towards the end of the race will that be is going to be the question. Will we be on the full wets for the majority of the Grand Prix? Look at that! Hoxton has almost lost the car already on the formation lap. This one, I can tell, is going to be something already. Now, just out of curiosity, these full wet tires will last you between 20 and 26 laps. So for the driver's sake, they're hoping it will go to at least decently dry by the time the pit window rolls around, as it's only a 36-lap race. This is either going to be incredibly amazing, and we're going to get ourselves one hell of a Grand Prix. It's going to be incredibly chaotic, let's say. GSR Hoxton. He's leading the grid 2 back to the starting line here. I will say, the data that we have for drivers in the wet and on no assists either, I will say, very limited. Matt Rosie, we do know from what he's just sent in the Discord, isn't feeling too confident. He's got his dry setup on, which, you know, would be a common thing to do in a qualifying session. Well, unfortunately for him, that's what he's going to have to race on, and he doesn't feel confident. He might be. I mean, you never know. Matt Rosie is the type of driver to surprise us and come out with a lot of pace. We'll have to see if that's the case. GSR Hoxton, I think, really wanted to angle his car across the grid, and now look at this. He has, unfortunately, not parked the car in the grid slot well enough, and will now be at a disadvantage off the line versus that of DTR No Jug. Finally, the two Haas cars lining up on the grid. EDA got Palmer. He'll have work to do after his grid penalty. The lights now will be turning on here in Brazil. I can't actually see them, but it's lights out and away we go, and off the line it looks like it's a very pedestrian start, naturally as it would. DTR No Jug did not get a good start there, and as they go into turn 1, how much carnage will we get? It looks like, well, everyone's actually kept it somewhat clean. GSR Hoxton has gotten away to a very good lead so far. It looks like Shelly the Turtle and Nikki 64 side by side. Adol Tony and Houdini just as well as the same as they round turn number 3 and head down the first of many straights on this track. I say many, there's only 2, but GSR Hoxton leading them through Sector 1 in the very downpouring conditions here, but he's got T-Brum right up against his gearbox here. Will he be able to make anything up the hill through turns 6, 7, and 8? It looks like we have a yellow flag towards the back. It looks like perhaps the McLaren then, PWR Grim Reaper, has had a little bit of a spin. It looks now, GSR Hoxton, very, very tricky getting back onto the throttle. He doesn't look comfortable whatsoever when the massive throttle input needs to happen. It's side by side between Gott Palmer and Matt Rosie. Matt Rosie's not had himself a great start at all. He's down 4 positions and now has to defend with his teammate of Tiger NASCAR down to the inside as they go through turn number 10. Matt Rosie goes high. NASCAR has the outside line, but will he be able to make anything happen? The answer is no. I would assume right now is not the time to be battling with your teammates. And as they exit now, turns 12 and 13, GSR Hawksit has the lead. CPI T-Brum is closing down. That's a big save then from the Mercedes driver. That was brilliant car control. Goodness gracious, he's pulled that one out of a hat. He truly has. It looks like Shelly the Turtle has managed to get around Gut Palmer there. It looks like we've had an off towards the back. It's the Aston Martin then of Valentine and a virtual safety car on track. And as that happens, Shelly the Turtle has overtaken Nikki 64. Will Shelly have to give that position back? Because I'm not actually sure how far in he's made that. And we are going to get a full safety car. It has been upgraded. I'm assuming then full front wing changes for both of these drivers. We know that at least for Kit and Petter, who, mind you, had the incident in the qualifying session in the dry conditions, no less. And in comes Valentine, front wings for them, and thankfully they won't be losing all that much considering the incidents they've gotten into. They will be at least able to get back to the rest of the safety car queue and at least get back to being somewhat competitive in the field. Now, mind you, I don't really believe anyone else is going to be coming in to make a stop, seeing as how we've only had one lap of racing. Valentine has put on the intermediate tires. This is a very bold strategy here, as you can just simply see by looking at the track how much standing water has accumulated on the racing surface. Valentine is either really playing the undercut here, or he's made himself a foolish decision. It's a foolish decision. Foolish decision. I mean, that's either going to be a game changer for Valentine, it's going to be a game ender. There's there's nothing to suggest that Valentine has made the right choice here, considering the rain is still coming down quite heavily, and nobody else is bothering to come into the pits, minus, it looks like Matt Rosie, the only other driver to make the trip in. Let's see if he decides to put on the intermediates. I highly doubt. Now, has he actually got wing damage? I don't recall seeing him get in any sort of incident here, and the intermediates will go on for Matt Rosie. So it looks like Valentine will not be the only driver taking the risk here with the intermediate tires, despite the amount of standing water that is still on the circuit. How is that puddle formed going down a hill in the pit lane? That's a bit odd. You see, how are there puddles on an incline? Anyways. Well, the field is catching itself back up to the safety car. I'll step aside for now. Oh, goodness me, I hate to interrupt my break that I gave myself. Matt Rosie has gone off track. Remember, he was one of the drivers that pit for the intermediate tires, and he has unfortunately not finished the race. And I think Valentine sees that and says, oh boy, have I made a mistake here, as he is now on his way into the pits to do what I assume to be putting on the full wets once again. Let's see if that's the case. Does he make that decision? I would assume he does. In comes Valentine, full wets going back on. So I think he saw Matt Rosie's DNF there. And I think perhaps he himself said, this isn't a good idea, I'm going back to the full wets. As you can see, it's still nowhere near condition for the intermediate tires. The rain seems to have slightly lightened up, I will say that. However, just because it's lightened up doesn't mean the track is getting any drier. Naturally, it's going to continue to be full wet until the rain stops. So we'll have to see. I will say the rain has gotten considerably lighter than it had at the beginning of the race. It looks like the safety car is going to be out for another lap here. Unless it magically decides to come in about now. I mean, that was such an interesting turn of events there. I felt as if I had to go back and see Matt Rosie's DNF there, and it was quite odd as well. I'm hoping it wasn't on track. I mean, naturally, when you retire on track, the game will park you next to a marshal's post. And that is conveniently exactly where his car was located. So either, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because we see drivers lose the car in that section of the track a lot, especially in the rain when you start to get back onto the throttle, especially off of those couple of corners there. Nothing to suggest that he didn't just slide off and hit the barrier. And that was about it. And Kitten Petter came in as well. Now, Kitten Petter, interesting this. Now, he's gone to the intermediates here. This, I feel, would have been the time to go to the intermediate tires, because now you can see the rain is lightening up. However, I don't know. I still think it's way too early to have made that decision. I really. Valentine has gone back on himself, said, no, it's not time for the intermediates yet, but I will have to see now how he reacts, because, of course, the driver on the intermediate, he's either going to be struggling or he's going to be running quick times. So this, I have to say, very crucial pit stop here. Kitten Petter very much is the guinea pig for the rest of the grid. The rest of the grid, mind you, getting back towards the Sector 3 timing line now, or Sector 2. And I believe the safety car will be in this lap. Yes, it is. GSR Hoxhead has done well to hold on to the lead for now. He's got CPI T-Brum, who is at no lack of pace behind. And GSR Hoxhead, let's be real, we've seen him make a couple of mistakes so far. It very much could go either way. DTR No Jug did not have himself the best start off the line. We'll have to wait and see. Perhaps if he can get out to a better go here. Behind him, Shelley the Turtle, his Ferrari teammate. Behind him, the Aston Martin of Nicky 64, and it looks like the grid has been severely bunched up there as we go back to green flag racing as the field crosses the stripe and heads down into turn 1. GSR Hoxhead has the advantage for now. He does a great job to get into the corner quite all right there. It looks like DTR No Jug has fought off any challenge from his teammate, albeit he is taking it a little bit lackadaisical, and we do have what I believe is an incident there. Capital 58 has gone off. We got the AlphaTauri front runner has taken a little bit of a spill there, and we have the Haas of Hightower off at the back. Not good there, but no casualties to be reported. As it looks like front runner, Capital 58 battling it out here. CPI T-Brum's made a lot of contact with the back of GSR Hoxhead there as they now head up the hill through turn 6, 7, and 8. Who is going to be later on the brakes as they get into the corner here, side by side, wheel to wheel as they head through turn number 8. And around the outside, look, CPI T-Brum, does he have the advantage? Going out of turn 9 into 10, it very much looks like he will. And that was a highlight reel overtake there for the Mercedes driver, who's done very well to give himself the traction and give himself the leading position as well. DTR No Jug, all he's had to do is sit back and watch this as well. Because unfortunately, T-Brum's gone way off track there, and Hoxhead immediately retains the lead after T-Brum's mistake. I'd have to believe that T-Brum is locked up going through the corner as he went past the braking zone. Thankfully for him, he has gathered the car back up and is able to stay at least in a competitive position here to get himself within the slipstream of the Williams ahead. He's also set the fastest lap, mind you. Yellow flag towards the back, Capital 58 has retired. And that very well could be another full safety car, and it will be. Adaltonian into the pits. Everyone else, unfortunately for them, already passed the pit lane. Man, oh man, actually unbelievable turn of events here. Into the pits comes Adaltonian. It's more full wets. Did he perhaps have a puncture or something? It'd be a bit odd to go back to another set of full wets when clearly the rain is getting lighter. And I can tell you what, I definitely see less standing water as well. It's going to be great news for the drivers who perhaps can get themselves back into, I'd say, proper racing. I mean, that's a bit unfair to full wet weather racing. However, you'd absolutely love to see overtakes happen out of, well, overtaking instead of mistakes. Speaking of mistakes, it's very lucky that CPI T-Brum did not lose any additional positions than what he did after his mistake through turn... Well, actually, it was coming out of turn 11, wasn't it? Yeah, because he was on the outside before they got to the corner, so we'll have to assume he just slid through. But he did gather it back up quite quickly, so, I mean, good on him, but he did get himself into the lead. Now, this is interesting here. GSR Hoxhead, what does he do? Hoxhead comes in, and I can fully expect we're going to be seeing the rest of the grid and even their mothers come in now, except for DTR No Jug. That, I gotta say, a bold decision. Everybody else, minus that of it looks like Bobbert Yates, is on their way in. Bobbert Yates, the Aston Martin of Valentine, who, odd for him, well, he's still in the full wets anyway, so... No Jug, Bobbert Yates, Valentine Swee, and I believe Kitten Petter. Has Kitten Petter just come in? Nope. So everybody in the top 5 chose not to pit. That being No Jug, Bobbert Yates, Valentine Swee, and Kitten Petter. Everyone else. Oh, but what's this? CPI T-Brum has put on a set of mediums. How in the hell has he done that? It's nowhere near condition. I mean, unless he knows something on the weather report that I don't, but it's very clearly still raining. And the track is very not dry, we know that. EDA Got Palmer has done the same. As CPI T-Brum spins it into the grass, that much, I mean, it'd have to be said. As he kind of pulls back onto the track rather dangerously there, it has to be said. I mean, as now Got Palmer goes off as well. I mean, this is either they tried to... Uh-oh, has he beached it? No, he hasn't. He's just letting the cars get out of the way. Either he has... either these two have perhaps made a huge mistake here, or they've done their best to be clever. I think it might have to be the first option. Valentine coming in. It'll be intermediates, most likely for the Aston Martin, as well as for the McLaren. Both of them on their way in. Valentine, yep, mediums, intermediates for him. So only 2 drivers then left on the full wet tires, that being DTR No Jug and that of Bobbert Yates. Now, see, this is quite interesting here, because what it's going to be is just a battle of who's going to be confident more. Is DTR No Jug and Bobbert Yates more confident and crucially going to be more quick on the full wets than the drivers behind them on the intermediates? You can clearly see the track is no longer covered in the standing water like it was just a few laps ago, but it is still raining. So perhaps, I don't know, this is a very... Well, you could honestly throw me in as a Ferrari strategist, and there would be absolutely no differential between the brain capacity, because I'm, quite frankly, dumbfounded and can't think of what decision would be better. Anyways. I'm gonna step aside for now. Safety car on its way in this lap, and we'll go ahead and take a look at who's gained and lost what. Bobbert Yates up 13 spots, Kitten Petter up 15, Helgeland up 11 in the negative direction, T-Brum's down 12, Got Palmer's down 10, and naturally after Matt Rose's DNF, he's down 16. So once again, 2 drivers left on the wet tires, that being No Jug, that being Bobbert Yates. 2 drivers, incredibly, on the mediums, that being T-Brum and Got Palmer. Everybody else, it's intermediate tires. Which tire is fastest? Which tire will give them the biggest advantage? As we're going to get back to green flag racing. Coming in, the safety car now for the second time. side by side already between Nicky 64 and Tiger NASCAR. They'll have to wait until they get back to the line, but it's very brilliant already, and it looks like Houdini and Grim Reaper, they're already battling it out. No Jug was not able to really... Oh, and it looks like we have a yellow flag towards the back already. Houdini's gone around, as well as, I believe, Valentine. I'm not really sure what's happened with him, but it's in the negative direction. Bobbert, Yates, and No Jug. Very close racing here, and I will say they look very confident on the wet tires so far. Kitten Petter does not seem to be catching the front two any whatsoever. Nicky 64. Who is that? That's Tiger NASCAR, who's gone down the inside and has made up 2 positions then. He's gotten around Shelly the Turtle, which I believe had gone off, and has gone off yet again. And I believe Tiger NASCAR has just pulled off an absolutely unbelievable overtake to get around both Nicky 64 and Shelly the Turtle in the span of, well, just about 2 corners. The top 3 within 8 tenths, we'll call it a second and a half to be safe. All within a second and a half of each other. It looks like Bobbert Yates has fallen off the back of No Jug here, and Kitten Petter very much on the gearbox of Bobbert Yates. That was a big slide coming out of turn 12 then, and Kitten Petter is well within that slipstream of the Williams ahead. Does he perhaps have anything? He's going to try it the long way round as they head back towards the front of the start-finish line here. Tiger NASCAR and Hawk sit side by side as they head down the straight. Into the first corner they go. Bobbert Yates has it down the outside. Kitten Petter tries the inside once more. Does he still have it? Yes, he does. It was brilliant defensive work there from Kitten Petter. Overtaking work, rather, as he has now picked up the spot. And now, that leaves Tiger NASCAR, the Alpine, down to the inside of the Williams for the 3rd spot. Has he got it? It's looking very close. Does he have it? Yes, he does. Very nicely done there from the Alpine driver. And it looks like now Bobbert Yates very much not confident on the full wet tires. DTR No Jug, however, is now pulling away from Kitten Petter. And I say pulling away, he's actually lost about 0.3 of a second there by the time I had finished my sentence. And now it looks as if Kitten Petter could very well be on his way to getting towards the top spot. It's only a half a second gap as No Jug now starting to lose traction. 0.4 of a second, a gap that was a second literally 5 corners ago. And now Kitten Petter, does he have the inside line? He overtook Bobbert Yates with ease. I think he's going to have a little bit more trouble here alongside DTR No Jug, but who's it going to be? Side by side as they head towards the grid here. To the inside is Kitten Petter. Who has the advantage entering the first corner? I tell you what, Tiger NASCAR is going to have a good view of it. He sets the fastest lap. No Jug goes deep into the first corner. He expects Kitten Petter to hold on to the bottom line. Little contact there, and it looks like Tiger NASCAR might be able to find a move around the right-hand side of Kitten Petter there, but Kitten Petter was able to block off the move, and now that puts the AlphaTauri on the back foot with the Alpine in hot pursuit behind. It looks like Nicky 64 getting alongside Bobbert Yates here. Remember, Yates was one of the only drivers who stayed out for the full wet, and he'll now be overtaken by both the Aston Martin, the Haas, and the Red Bull of VTEC as well, all in order. And now it looks like as Bobbert Yates he's not really getting to grips with the car. He's dropped all the way back down to 9th, and VTEC has spun around ahead. And he is off in the middle of the corner. Thankfully, there's nothing to hit over there, but he has lost a fair few positions and now finds himself back in 12th. Shelly the Turtle up the left side of Bobbert Yates, and meanwhile, we once again have a battle for the lead within a half a second. To the outside, looks Kitten Petter. Does he have anything? No, he doesn't, but he's going to try to switch back down to the inside. It's brilliant racing within the top 3 here, and Tiger NASCAR at the moment just has to be patient. He has to wait for one of the drivers to make a mistake, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's got the slipstream of the AlphaTauri. He's then going to latch onto the Ferrari ahead. Is he going to have it going into the first corner? He certainly has. The AlphaTauri locks up, goes into the grass, and it looks like Kitten Petter might have him back down to the inside, but no, Tiger NASCAR is able to hold on to the position for now. I will say Tiger NASCAR is on fire at the moment. He's looking to get around the Ferrari. He's going to look down to the inside. I don't think he'll have enough space to outbrake him, and he won't. But Tiger NASCAR has fortified himself in this battle for the lead, and he will be taking the lead here, assuming he can keep it clean next to the Ferrari as they head back up the hill through Sector 2. He's round the outside. This isn't the place Tiger NASCAR necessarily wants to be, but he does have it. Gott Palmer has retired coming out of turn 13, and it is a full safety car again, and it looks as if Tiger NASCAR has been able to make the move before the safety car comes out, No Jug, it looks... I thought Kitten Petter had made the move. Perhaps has the game told Kitten Petter to give the spot back. EDA got Palmer, who had the grid penalty at the beginning of the race for the contact with Bobbert Yates. This is very much not gone to plan for him, as he now faces a double DNF for the Alfa Romeo team. Very much not what they needed, but now the rain has stopped. Tiger NASCAR thought about it, didn't go in. DTR, No Jug, he does go in. Hoxton stays out. Helgeland comes in. Only two have decided to take the gamble and perhaps go to the dry tires, that being DTR No Jug and that of Nikki 64. Nikki 64 comes in, medium tires for the both of them. This will be a very good decision if the gamble pays off. The rain has stopped falling about halfway through this Grand Prix, and now the question is, can they get themselves back to the grid in a respectable, I'd say, time frame, but can they keep the guard together? We saw Gut Palmer and T-Brum had problems with that earlier. And mind you, CPI T-Brum has gone this whole time on those medium tires that he pit for. That, I gotta say, is an excellent piece of racecraft to keep himself alive. And I tell you what, if the rest of the grid decides to come in, he might be at a severe advantage. We'll have to wait and see. We'll stay with it until the safety car comes back around. It looks like either way, No Jug and Nikki 64 will gain a lot of positions if the grid does decide to come in. I think right now, it's a little too wet. However, behind the safety car, the conditions will change quite quickly, and we will be having dry tires as soon as, I'd say, another lap or two. The safety car, as much time as that takes to make its way in. Does Tiger NASCAR change his mind? Does he come in for the dry tires now? No, he doesn't. Does Kitten Petter? No. Does anyone else? Helgeland bites. Front runner stays out. Shelley stays out. VTEC, Grim Reaper, all the same. It looks like only one else comes in, and it is the Aston Martin of Valentine. So only 4 drivers pit for the dry tires under this stop. It's Helgeland, Valentine, DTR No Jug, and Nikki 64. How much of an advantage will they be at? That is going to be the million-dollar question, my friends, and until we find that answer at the end of the safety car, I'll step aside. And now we see the slurry of drivers on their way in. Suddenly, Tiger NASCAR changed his mind. Hightower, the only other one on intermediates to stay out. Suddenly it was Tiger NASCAR to change his mind. And everyone else, bar Hightower and Adaltonian, have come in for the mediums. Front runner has actually put on the softs. VTEC has put on the hards. Mind you, the soft tires will last between 14 and 17 laps. Mediums 15 to 20, hards 21 to 26. And I don't know how fresh that data is. It may have absolutely changed by then. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to double check. But the medium tires looks to be the tire of choice as now. But you can still see a little bit of rain, but not a lot to... I mean, the track does look dry, you have to say. It does look like now we will get... I don't want to say the proper conclusion to this Grand Prix. However, I think the racing quality itself will be much better in the dry. As well as we'll have the aid of DRS now, which will be quite interesting to see. So Adaltonian and Hightower here, have they really, I don't want to say screwed the pooch on this one, but they have stayed out for the intermediate safety car in this lap. Will they be sitting ducks off the start? That is going to be the big question. As you know, in real life, these intermediate tires are actually just a special breed of softs, really. They're extra grippy. They do have the tread, but once the tread wears off, the grip that these tires generate are actually incredible. And we see that a lot in real life when drivers stay out. And speaking of staying out, Adaltonian has chosen not to do that. Hightower does, however, stay out. DTR No Jug now, does he perhaps get something on Hightower here? Tell you what, Hightower's holding his pace quite nicely. Despite being on the intermediate tires, it looks like Helgeland's picked up 3 seconds there. Houdini, and that is a big mix-up there towards the back. 4 cars, 5 cars perhaps. It looks like for sure the Williams then of Hoxid, Shelley the Turtle, both Mercedes, and Valentine has gone off. Grim Reaper has gone off. And just when you thought the grid was accustomed to no assists then, and we weren't going to get any more carnage now that the rain had stopped. We've had about a 5-car pileup exiting turn 1. We've had 2 cars DNF at the base of the hill going through turn 4. The safety car has decided to stay out. Tiger NASCAR down to the inside of Helgeland. Does he have anything here? He's still going to be looking for it. He doesn't have it for now. It looks as if, and I gotta say, brilliant stuff for Hightower so far, who has held on to the lead despite being on the intermediate tires. He is, I will say, in all fairness, he's got some pace to him right now. He will be a sitting duck for DTR No Jug in behind. But are we seeing an actual case of realism in this game? Hightower's just at the fastest lap on intermediate tires. Tiger NASCAR then goes immediately faster on the mediums. I mean, but this is a very interesting case of how legit is actually the game. And I tell you what wasn't legit was my English through that sentence. DTR No Jug, now looking down to the inside. Hightower, I think, is actually blocked off that move quite nicely. And DTR No Jug's actually got to be quite, he's got to be quite frustrated now as he does eventually get around Hightower there. Yeah, it would have been quite frustrating to sit behind a car who's been sat on the intermediate tires, and now Nicky64, he's gone down to the inside. I think he'll be making that move past the Haas as well as now Tiger NASCAR has fought his way back up into the podium place as he makes his way to 3rd. And I wish I had a camera view of the mix-up that happened there. We've got T-Brum and Shelley the Turtle, who were side-by-side momentarily going through turn number 8, and it looks like the Mercedes of T-Brum has come away on top of that one. Tiger NASCAR now within 2.5 tenths of Nicky64 ahead. Remember, no DRS yet. That'll be enabled within, I think, this next lap, if I'm to be mistaken. Hightower is finally coming in, who, remember, I say did really well to be on the intermediate tires for that long, but he is coming in now. Front runner's gone fastest, 1:11.024. DRS now enabled. Hoxid faster on the mediums, 1:10.963. Tiger NASCAR is going to have it well on Nicky64 here. DRS wasn't even really in play for the Alpine, and he was able to make the spot. Front runner, this is the question I'm looking at. How long will he be able to last on the soft tires? Nicky64 is still within about half a second, but it's front runner now pressuring the Haas here of Helgeland. He's going to look down to the inside. Mind you, Helgeland has the penalty ahead. I believe is a track limits penalty. It is. Front runner on the softs. He can make the positions for now, but will they stay around enough to help him? So many different strategies and ideas have come into play during this race. I tell you what, it's a strategist's dream. Unless, of course, you work for Ferrari like apparently I do, and you can't make up your mind. Front runner now is within the slipstream of Helgeland ahead. Helgeland, I'm afraid, is not going to have much of a defense here from the AlphaTauri behind. Down to the inside. No, we're actually around the outside. Looks front runner really trying to late break him. Going into the corner. He'll have the inside line through turn 2. And what about turn 3? He'll keep the outside. He'll have DRS as well. Right up alongside the Haas next to him. It really is wheel to wheel as they head down the straight towards turn 4. Does front runner have it around the outside? Well, I tell you what he doesn't have is any of his battery, as he's used it all up. Trying to get past Helgeland, down to 3% now. Helgeland has about 17% remaining. CPI T-Brum does pick up 3 seconds. Sui looks like he's just made somewhat of an error as he loses the position to GSR Hoxid there. It looks for now everything has, I'd say, calmed down, but that couldn't be further from the truth, have it? What will be said is DTR No Jug has gotten out to a 2.5 lead over that of Tiger NASCAR, who does have Nicky64, I'd say, in pursuit, but Nicky64 is not exactly keeping up with the Alpine ahead. It looks as if Tiger NASCAR right now is the faster car than that Aston Martin, and I tell you what, Nicky64 will have some work to do here. It looks like with DRS, with battery, is perhaps the only way that Nicky 64 is going to be able to latch himself onto Tiger NASCAR here and perhaps look at an overtake. Front runner now. Will he have a go at Helgelin this time? He's going to look down the inside into turn 4. That's a terrible camera angle. And Helgelin does go quite wide. Front runner able to take the spot. Nicely done there from the AlphaTauri. Now I finally have a chance to breathe. It's been an incredible race so far. Grim Reaper looks like he's left the session. He has. Remember, him and Valentine got into that incident after the safety car had come in at the base of the hill, exiting turn 4. Nicky 64, big slide from the Aston Martin, and if he goes too much further up the track, it'll reset him the track. And I tell you what, nicely done then from Nicky 64 to at least keep his composure through the slide, and he didn't have to do too much corrective work, although now he'll be under pressure from the tandem of Sui and T-Brum, battling it out here for the 8th spot. T-Brum, by the way, he has DRS. He's going to be looking for the move on Sui, despite having the time penalty. Will he be able to make a move? I think the answer is going to be no for now, although if Sui makes a mistake, he might have him. As I tell you what, Sui did not have a good go through turn 2. T-Brum's going to try to have it. Around the outside now. And I tell you what, I think if T-Brum had some battery, he'd have been able to make that move happen. As I tell you what, he's just too far away. And then right up against the gearbox of Sui there. I think Sui maybe had some oversteer getting back on the throttle, and it's really held up T-Brum then. Incredible stuff here. T-Brum down to the inside. Does he have the move through turn 8? It's going to look like he does, but will he be able to hold on to it? Yes, he does. Nicely done from the Mercedes. Doing his best to put the pedal to the metal despite the 3-second time penalty he has accumulated. And I have to say, this is more of the race than I would expect. It's rightly calm. Which there's nothing wrong with a calm Grand Prix when you have the aids of DRS and the battery stored to help you out, I will say. It looks like Helgelin back within a couple of tenths here, a front runner. DRS in favor for the Haas, although I'm not sure he'll have anything as they head towards 4. Doesn't look like he does. Front runner doing his best to keep his recharge on, but he's using it quite liberally here. In order to defend from the Haas behind. And meanwhile, VTEC looks to have entered this battle as well. Now, VTEC on the hards. And we didn't really think he was going to be much of a player on the restart. Considering the hard tires, I'd have to say, not the meta as far as strategy was to go. He would have easily made it on the mediums, as Kittenpetter, 3 seconds for him for multiple warnings. Kittenpetter, it's a shame for him, as he had a brilliant race up to that point, which I believe he was collected in the melee of turn 1 after the most recent safety car had come in. I'd have to look at that again. I'm not rightly sure. CPI T-Brum is within a couple of tenths here of Nicky 64. Currently the closest battle on track. Nicky 64. As it looks like Valentine has, in fact, reported Kittenpetter here. Can I perhaps, whilst this race is happening, mind you, I'm going to be watching a Twitch stream as this race is happening. It looks like Shelly the Turtle and Sui battling it out here. So as they go through the corner. Also, has it perhaps been Kittenpetter that's caused this incident here with Valentine that's led to the DNF them of Grim Reaper? It may be true. Oh, that's a huge incident then. It has to be said. If I can remember to put that into the cast, now would be the chance to do it. I'll give myself 5 seconds to let me know where that timestamp is to put it in. They were side by side going down the straight, coming out of turn 3. Valentine had the right side of the circuit, Kittenpetter had the inside, and Kittenpetter, it looks, has completely cut off Valentine there. It pushed him to the wall, and it was an unfortunate consequence that Grim Reaper got caught up in the act. To no fault was PWR Grim Reaper. He was an unfortunate a bystander, a turned victim in that incident. And I have to say, Kittenpetter, now whenever I find an incident like this in a race, absolutely, the last thing I do is place judgment on anyone. I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's going down a straight there. I'm not really sure what argument Kitten Petter has to be made for that one. And anyways, back to the racing. VTEC within 0.5 of a second here on Helgeland. We've got Nicky 64 within 0.6 of T-Drum here. 10 laps to go this time by. In what's been an absolutely chaotic Grand Prix, but despite the chaos, it's been absolutely impossible to take my eyes off it. I say that after I've literally just taken my eyes off it to watch the Valentine incident there. But anyways, VTEC 87 into the pits now. This is interesting. Who's that that's just come in? It's Front Runner. And this, you'd have to say, this was the risk that you saw with the soft tires. They've gone 10 laps, and on come another set of softs. Does he lose that many spots? If he gets out of the pits before Houdini comes back around, which it looks like he might, although Houdini will have the pace advantage going down the hill, as meanwhile Hightower getting around Adaltonian there. That looked quite nice. It looks as if the front runner, fresh soft tires, although that's not really going to help him all that much. He's not got anybody to overtake at the moment. He's got Sui ahead of him. 3.5 seconds, nearly 4. Yellow flag. Oh, Shelly the Turtle has had a bit of a spin there. That's coming out of turn 7. It doesn't look like he's hit anything. And now his front runner to his outside, which it looks like front runner most likely is going to be getting this position, and he does. Good defense there from Shelly the Turtle, albeit after a spin. Huh. That was quite an incident there where really Shelly's just kind of lost it on his own. I'm still trying to process the Valentine incident there. That was... I mean, there's just not a lot of stuff to be said, really. There's not really much of an excuse for two drivers to come in contact like that down a straight. Usually you can quite clearly see who's at fault there, and it has to be said Kitten Petter. This time, I'm afraid. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it again later on. Can I just look at it one more time to perhaps... Has Valentine done anything wrong here? I mean, he's held a really good wheel. That's all there is to be said. Kitten Petter wanted a position that Valentine wasn't really willing to give up. Valentine's held his line very well, considering. As it looks like Front Runner and Sui battling it out here. Front Runner's managed to actually get around the outside then of the McLaren. That was the driver now has Sui made somewhat of a mistake. That might be true, considering that gap was about 4 seconds not long ago. So it has to be said, perhaps as Sui made a mistake. That's led up to that one. It looks like now VTEC, will he perhaps have a move at Helgeland? We could start to see, I will say, we can start to see some wear on the tires then of the Haas ahead, the medium tires. You can start to see that maybe the hards will be coming alive here. It'll be tricky, I'd have to say. Oh, and speaking of the Haas, it looks like we've got Hightower has taken a trip into the barriers there, heading down through the Senna S. It looks as if he's not actually broken any of his front wing. Can I just confirm that once we get to the other camera angle? Doesn't look like any of his front wing's missing. Certainly won't be having any safety car then. But does perhaps the hard tires, are they going to work here? I think he's got a much better exit now, does VTEC. DRS in his favor as well. Helgeland's not going to have much of a defense here. VTEC using all the track he can. And VTEC getting himself into the podium positions. Nicely done from the Red Bull driver. And I think he was really going to have it either way, as Helgeland does have the 3-second time penalty, although it'll be fun to watch Helgeland try to get this position back here. Front runner goes fastest 1:10.055. Once again, the soft tires doing him well. And it has to be said, he is rightly closing that gap down to Nicky 64. It was about 4 seconds 2 or 3 corners ago. It's now down to about 3.5. As the rest of the leagues, the rest of the divisions rather, finish up their races, we still have, it'll be 5 laps to go. Once we hit the 32nd lap, it's going to be 6 to go this next time by. Helgeland here within half a second, and I think at this point, as Bobbert Yates, 3-second time penalty for him. It's tricky to tell. You can see the gap between the two cars staying rather stagnant there. Neither battery or DRS was able to come much to play for Helgeland there. I think it might just have to be on a mistake that VTEC made, which, speaking of mistakes, I don't think he's had a good go through turns 1 and 2 whatsoever. Helgeland's going to have a chance to close the gap within 2 seconds here. And that's a big incident there. Helgeland has gone off, and that might be a full safety car, and that might change the landscape of this race immediately. Helgeland has put it in the barriers exiting turn 4. He's absolutely caught oversteer coming off the corner, and that has not gone well for the Haas at all. Who's texting me? Big off there for the Haas driver, and thankfully the FIA have not put out the full safety car, and it looks like they're not going to. Which, I mean, it wasn't exactly on the racing line, but he was at the apex of the curve there going through turn 4, so, I mean, maybe there was a case to be made. Nicky 64 spinning it around then. Has he perhaps had contact there with front runner? I don't really know, honestly. He now has the McLaren behind of Sui to try to defend against, as it's now about 4.5 laps to go at this point. Sui's going to try to have it around the outside of Nicky 64, and this move naturally to be expected, considering the incident that Nicky's just had. And I tell you what, very thankful that Helgeland's DNF did not cause the safety car, as we have very much had, as Nicky 64 looking at the bottom here of Sui, we very much had in this game, the safety car oftentimes gets brought out for very lackadaisical reasons. Now that one, you could have made the argument that putting out the safety car would have been the right choice, considering he's at the apex of the curve. Although going through that corner, you tend to take it wider. But I mean, I don't know. I would have accepted a safety car there. It was a right and true DNF, but we've seen safety cars for a lot less as well. So I don't know. Shelly the Turtle here. He's looking to get around Sui. Now, does Sui have anything for him here? Naturally, it's going to depend more on the DRS. Both drivers relatively even on the battery percentages at this point. We'll have to see which car. I mean, at this point, it really does come down to the straight line speed advantages. Let's see. Sui, mind you, has DRS to Nicky ahead, so I tell you what, that's not going to help Shelly the Turtle it's not going to help Shelly the Turtle at all whatsoever. I tell you what, Sui has not gotten back on the throttle too easily there, as Nicky 64 absolutely pulling away from him now, and that's left a gaping hole to the inside line for Shelly the Turtle to perhaps try to make the overtake past the McLaren. Actually, a decent amount of contact being made there. Shelly does have the move down to the inside, and he, in fairness, had the bottom quite fairly there. A little bit of contact. Three laps to go for DTR No Jug, who has had a very much up and down day, to say the least. And I tell you what he's done is just plain and simple stayed out of the chaos that was taking place around him. And that was absolutely what he needed to do, and absolutely what he has done. And if DTR No Jug manages to claw the win here, he will have absolutely deserved it. Tiger NASCAR, mind you, within 2 seconds here, but it does look as if the Ferrari ahead is starting to lengthen that gap. And Sui now, can he find anything to get back to Shelly the Turtle? He will have DRS. He was within a second at the detection zone. but now he has fallen outside, and the DRS has not helped him get back within a second, so it'll have to be said that Shelly the Turtle will be keeping that position, it seems. GSR Hoxid, by the way, he might be having to move here at VTEC. Now, VTEC has actually looked quite strong being on the hard tires, and this will be interesting here because GSR Hoxid, now within a second, on VTEC ahead. Is VTEC starting to struggle on the hards? You can see the recharge lights are on for VTEC. The gap now within 0.8 of a second for the final podium position with 2 laps to go. And mind you as well, Tiger NASCAR suddenly now almost within striking distance of DTR No Jug, now within 1.2 seconds. Somewhere along that line, DTR No Jug has made a mistake because now Tiger NASCAR is almost within reach of this win. We'll have to wait and see. 0.7 of a second or less between the Williams of Hoxid and the Red Bull ahead of VTEC. VTEC took the gamble with the hards, and it has to be said he's done quite well to this point. But will it stay that way? 1.5 seconds between the leader of No Jug and Tiger NASCAR behind. 0.7 of a second between VTEC and Hoxid for the final podium position. Hightower's within a second of Adaltonian as DTR No Jug rounding turn number 15 now, the final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix underway. It's been a very, very interesting Grand Prix to this point. Hoxid now, he's within 0.4 of VTEC ahead as they enter the first couple of corners here. Tiger NASCAR is not within the second. It doesn't look as if he'll have a go at the win, unless perhaps No Jug makes a mistake here. However, I will say, does GSR Hoxid have anything heading into turn 4 versus VTEC? He goes way down to the inside. VTEC, oh man, that was... I can't say it was a bad defense because he absolutely had right to the corner. But has he moved under braking to push Hoxid off track, or has Hoxid had to take evasive maneuver to not allow them to make contact and have the race end poorly? Both of them, possibilities to say the least. But Tiger NASCAR, the possibilities of him taking the win starting to fall away. I will say he's got 0.9 of a second, but will it be enough? It doesn't look like it will. DTR No Jug rounding turns 14 and 15 now. Coming to the line is the Ferrari, who will win the Brazilian Grand Prix on opening day of the Division 2 season. Tiger NASCAR did a hell of a race. He finishes second. VTEC is able to hold off the pressure from Hoxid behind and will finish third. T-Brum rebounds to fifth. Nicely done from DTR No Jug, and for a driver that I really had no knowledge of prior to this point, it has to be said, definitely look out for this driver in the rest of the season. So at the end of the day, here in Sao Paulo, DTR No Jug taking the win and grittying in the process. Tiger NASCAR second, VTEC in third, GSR Hawksid fourth, CPI T-Brum fifth, Frontrunner 6, Nikki 64 in seventh, 8th is Shelly the Turtle, 9th is Sweet, 10th Houdini, 11th Bobbert Yates, 12th is Hightower, 13th Adaltonian, 14th Kitten Petter, and I believe, unfortunately, everything else behind him did not finish the Grand Prix. And it's been a very interesting one, to say the least, and it'll get even better for round 2 when we head to the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi for the second round of the Division 2 season here in the Midwest F1 League. It's been a pleasure to open Season 8 with you. Hotspot, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.